In this episode, we will explore two of the many forgotten relics of the Cold War. The first one is a small graveyard, full of old vehicles. And the next one is a former hidden bunker. Join us and discover the relics of the war which never came. We will start our journey at this former graveyard, which was still full of old military vehicles. When proceeding on the terrain, we were surprised by just how much this graveyard varied, from small electric cars to big minesweepers, all dating back to the period of the 40s till the 90s. The reason why these vehicles are now retired can be traced back to two reasons. The first reason is that most of the equipment right here is just completely outdated. And the second one is due to the Cold War being over. In the period of the Cold War, a massive arms race was between the US and the former Soviet Union. So massive amounts of military equipment was produced for this expected war. This war only never came. In 1992, the Soviet Union collapsed, which meant an end to the several decades-long race. So millions of vehicles now seem pretty much useless. And flooded the second-hand market all over the world. With this, a Belgian collector decided to buy a couple of these vehicles and store them right here on this terrain. He probably wanted to restore these vehicles or use them as a source of parts. Nowadays this graveyard is overgrown and many vehicles are rusting and decaying. At the back of the site a sort of small metal cabin was located. Inside there was a small workplace, and this all in a refreshing minty green. Inside the small cabins, a small, completely intact workplace was located. After a quick stroll through this graveyard, we decided to move on to the next location. This next spot was located on this unassuming looking grass field. But before we could enter, we faced our first problem.
En daar loopt dat hek, dat asfalthek. En hij moet daar liggen. Oké, dus we moeten daar naartoe.
Due to the lack of light, we had quite some problems with this search. After walking a couple of rounds on the empty grass fields, we found a concrete hole with a stairway down. Inside we were greeted by old text on the wall and barbed wire through the hallway. This gave off some really military vibes. Around the corner, old rusting bunk beds were still completely set up. It really gave off a really old school atmosphere. But well, we proceeded further into the bunker. Here we came across what was probably the main room. From this we finally got to know what the function was of this old bunker. The function was medical, as seen from this paper with patient names and treatments. After some research we were right about this. The exact function of this place was to house injured pilots from when the nearby airfield got bombed if a war broke out. Behind this room another one was located, with lots of now mostly broken bunk beds. You really wonder how it must be like if this place was actually needed in a possible World War III. But fortunately this was never needed and it probably got closed down somewhere in the beginning of the 90s. After we explored this small bunker, we concluded our explore of this small but really cool bunker. In hindsight, it's really weird that all of these structures and equipment were all pretty much useless at the end. This was for the better though, because the world would probably look a lot different if this Cold War became a worm run.